Okay, so listen, I was excited. We went on a history lesson, and I've been waiting on this one. Who the heck is this woman on the phone, and what is her deal? Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for Lovecraft Country, and this is season 1, episode 6. Like I said, we went on a little bit of a history lesson. We had to go back. It was 1949, and then it covered a span of time up to 1950. This was actually telling us about when Tick was in, I believe it's Korea. But listen, he was there during the war. And before that, well, he was actually there, but the whole history of him and this woman that we keep hearing on the phone. And I'm like, what is her whole connection to any of this stuff? But anyway, at any rate, we see this woman. She's, they took the whole episode to give her background. So I'm sure she's really something real important as we go forth, because literally, we didn't come up to present at all. It stayed right back there. Anyway, 1949. We see this girl, really pretty girl, basically lived with her mother, and they lived in a bit of shame, is what I gathered, because there was no father in the house. So it was just the woman and the daughter. As she was saying, basically, you need to bring a man home. You need to bring a man home. The girl was a nursing student. So at first I was thinking it really had to do with the fact of the shame of there not being a male in the home. But the father had died. He had died. So I was like, okay. But again, Asian culture is different than our culture. And then again, this is 1949. So, okay, no problem, whatever. Let's go. What are you doing? So we found out she basically kept saying to her mother, everything's going to be fine. When I get my degree, we're going to be fine. And I guess that's because at that point she would actually have money, because she was a nursing student. She's in nursing school. So we see all this going on. We see her in nursing school, and there's this pressure being put on her by her mother about getting a man. It starts picking up when we see her go through this whole speed dating. They were having this speed dating thing, okay? Now, early on when we first see the girl, we actually see she is enamored with American culture, okay? Again, that ain't no real good thing back then in that area. During the speech, she loved Judy Garland and Judy Garland movies. And she loved all of the musical situation and the way we dance, everything about us. Like everybody loves our culture. They do. Everybody loves our culture, child. People just don't like to admit to loving our culture. But our culture is the shit. It just is what it is. We do this. But anyway, so she she has her whole little dreams, and we seen her fantasizing about actually dancing and all this. It was really cute. It really was cute. I was like, girl, look, girl, you like a little drag queen, honey. I got you. So she goes through all that, and we see in the speed dating, she was saying different things, and it was like a turn off, a turn off, a turn off, a turn off to these males, because they were like, American culture, girl, get out of here. You need to get yourself together. And then she got to one guy who actually, he liked American culture too, but he wasn't willing to hook up with her. She thought that it was like, oh, I found somebody just like me. But he was, it's like, yeah, I shared that with you, but we ain't gonna make it together, child. So no, I could do bad by myself. I ain't need no help to starve to death. Left her alone. So we see that. Now, in the midst of all this, we get this deeper meaning, which is where, they link me in. I said, okay, there's the one girl who, like, they just live for her. this girl, she's like an extrovert, and she just has this magnetic personality, and she's a bit of a harlot is what she comes off as. I clocked it right away. I said, you're not just a harlot, honey. You're a lesbian. And I said, she's a lesbian. And that was her little magnetic draw. These girls were like living for her, but they didn't really know why. I said, baby, because she plays in the dark arts, honey. There's something about her that intrigues you all, and you all haven't really figured it out. But when you know anything, baby, she gonna get y'all all in a tongue lock, honey. I said, girl, she is a mess. I was like, So she had taken a liking to our girl. And at first she didn't clock it as to what it was. And then the way she kept touching her hand and stuff, she's like, okay. So that was another little thing where they connected. And this actually happens. And here I'm getting ready to go off on a tangent. Because, yes, there is something magnetic a lot of times about us in the LGBTQIA community. And a lot of times people are connected to us, males and females. And they fight it. And it's not always about sex. It's not always about them being attracted to us that way. But people are attracted to us because we are different. We're different. I mean, it just is what it is. People, they think you're special. They think you're different. Well, and we are. We are different. We are different. And a lot of times we are the forbidden fruit. Or we have something to offer, or we're a little fearless, or there's always something about us that actually stands out as us being different, and it's not always sexual. So there is a magnet that we all carry. Every last gay person that there is carries a little bit of a magnet. People want to know. Now, you all could sit back and don't want to admit it to yourself. That's fine. But I've been doing this for almost 50 years. And there are magnets that I carry around. And I have talents that intrigue people. And that doesn't have anything to do with my gayness. There's just things, people always think that I'm always fun and I'm always having fun. Or that I'm funny. Again, those fall into the talent stuff. And then there's just something intriguing about me. You want to know what it is that makes me different, what it is that makes me be attracted to the other sex. And that has nothing to do with your sexuality. It just has to do with, I want to know what the hell you are. What is it about you that is different? And again, people will not, a lot of times, they won't admit that to themselves, but it just is what it is. Every LGBTQIA person, no matter where they fall on the spectrum, no matter where they are on the rainbow, there's a magnet that you have that heterosexual people want to know. They want to know. They're attracted to you because they want to know why. Why? What is it that makes you different? So that's just that. So I can imagine what these comments is going to look like. But that's okay. Admit it or don't. It's fine. It really isn't a negative thing. It just is what it is. It is what it is. We're nosy people. You know, just as a whole, humans are nosy. And we do. We want to know about things that are different than us. So, again, we just happen to be part of the human race that's different. So, anyway, off my soapbox, but bam, and we're back. So this was what was going on, but that's what they were showing, in my opinion. You see, they all were like intrigued by this girl, but she liked the old girl. So they actually did form a friendship where she never actually got into any type of lesbian activity with her or anything like that, but she fell in love with her as a friend. They became friends. They understood each other. She kept telling her, I'm different, I'm different, I'm different. But I think she actually thought that she was fighting with lesbianism And it wasn't that at all. It was something completely different. But I think that's what the other girl kind of took. It was like, eventually she gonna come back, honey, and I'm gonna unlock that box, honey. But that wasn't what it was, honey. She's different. And she actually, she would give her like talks that just lined up with what her issue was. Tell her, don't let anybody make you feel bad about the fact that you're different. Don't let anybody make you put yourself into a closet. You should be safe, because I know you can't just come out. Be safe, but don't allow anyone to stifle you and make you feel bad. So those lessons actually helped her with what her issues were as well. And the fact that she had issues with her mother. And I think that girl, her mother didn't really accept her either. What nobody trying to hear that lesbian stuff, child. So that was that. But they formed this friendship. So then the war ended up coming. The war got really coming, and American soldiers came in. And then there was like this whole little situation where the nurses had to start working, on these soldiers who were getting balled up throughout all this battle. And them two, they showed, where they just really had each other's back. Because there's one time this one soldier, she was trying to set his leg. And he had grabbed the girl by her arm, and our girl grabbed her by her arm and twisted her arm because it hurt, child. And the other girl gave it to him, baby. She stuck his ass with a tranquilizer, honey. She's like, girl, I'll get something to set the leg, but she's ready to do him, honey, about messing with her woman, honey. So that whole thing, they had this whole bond. So I say all that to say that they had a bond. Okay, so then they end up, one day they get snatched up, and they had all these nurses. It's about 5 or 6 of them. They had them out. They take them out to this other little spot. They sit them all down, put them on the dirt. They treat them like shit. And I'm like, what is going on? And they got them lined up, and they said somebody is a communist spy. Somebody is trading secrets and stuff. And we actually seen how bad it had gotten, because they were like hanging people, and it just real barbaric. You know how war is, child. So they were like, who's the spy? Y'all start telling, and they were going down the line, and they were just shooting them in the head. They had shot like one person. They shot 2 people, and then they had gotten to our girl, and they was like, are you the spy? Who's the spy? She's like, I don't know. And she we knew who was actually trading the secrets. It was old girl was trading the secrets, because she didn't agree with anything that was going on. So she really was a spy. And when they put the gun to her head, she jumped in front of her and was like, it's me. She actually gave herself up. I said, oh girl, she really, really was in love with her, honey. And they took her away, and they tortured and killed her. But that was that. Okay. So that had happened. Now, shortly before that happened, we got to see exactly what it was about. I think her name was Jing. Jing is what her name was. Jing, I think it was Jing. Started with a J. But anyway, we got to see what really was different about her. She actually is a creature. She is a creature. She gives you creature feature kind of. She is a creature. She has these tails that come out of all of her orifices, honey, and they connect to a person. Like she lured a man back to the house from a bar, and basically when they go to have sex with her, baby, her tails come out of her little kitty cat, and all her little every hole she got, a tail comes out of it and connects to the man, and literally just when it all connects, even out of her eyes, when her eyes connect with theirs, she actually gets their whole, like she really absorbs all their memories. She absorbs all their memories, and then literally just basically explodes them. They explode, and blood goes everywhere, and it was a whole mess. And then her mother comes in and cleans up the room. Her and her mom clean up the room. But this is the thing. What we find out is I couldn't really grasp how the backstory of how she ended up being this creature. But I know it had something to do with a shaman. She had went to see a shaman, and the shaman had told her, early on, she has sex with and kills 100 men just to absorb 100 men, and that would end up turning her human. Um, they kept, see, it was kind of confusing because they kept jumping back over her, and the mother would go back and forth, and the mother would shame her, and her mother would say, my girl is in there, my daughter is in there. So you got this thing like, the mother don't like her. She doesn't like her. She doesn't like her the way she is. She wants her to turn back human. So at some point, she was regular. They threw in this whole little thing about the husband. The husband. And with the husband, she called her mother a pariah, okay? So she was actually whoring the little girl out at some point, some kind of way. And I think that was like a whole thing. I think she was basically whoring the little girl out to the husband, and that's why he was there. He was a pedophile, and he had a proclivity for this young girl, and that was how the mother kept him. And she knew he was abusing her, and she was just on board with it. And I think she ended up killing him. She ended up absorbing him. And I think the mother was angry. Like, she was angry about that. This is what I was gathering. Trust me, it was really confusing. You all in the comments, if you got it a different way, please put it in the comments. This is what we do with this show. We bounce it back and forth. Because some of this stuff, it's like, tell us what you're saying. I mean, they're all over the place. But she called her a pariah. So when she called her a pariah, I said, okay, I got you. She only had that man because that man really wanted the little girl. He really ain't want her old ass. He had his own little thing going on. He was all up, and he wanted her, and the mother would allow it. But anyway, she ended up, I guess, once she got of age, wherever that creature came from, came on out. And it probably didn't happen until maybe once she started to grow into like getting her cycle and all that kind of stuff. That's probably what happened. But anyway, I don't know. They didn't make it very clear. But she killed him. She absorbed him and killed him. Because at a point, she ended up telling the mother, you knew what he was doing, and this, that, thing, and the other. And she was saying that the mother had kept telling her, that's how she basically kind of controlled her, that nobody loved her. Nobody loved her, and nobody definitely wasn't going to love her the way that she was, this, that, thing, and the other, and all of that. So she really didn't know what real love felt like, or so the mother thought. But the mother didn't realize that when she was killing these people, she would absorb their memories. And the guy, the husband, she had absorbed the memories. And she said, no, he actually did love me. He actually did. This is once she ended up getting fat in love. Let me get back to that. Here we go, because it's great to get along. Let me go back, see, because we all out of context. Okay, so in the midst of all of that going on, when they killed the best friend, Tick was one of the soldiers who actually came out and did the torturing and the killing. He was one of them. So, after that, literally, like, that was all in 1949. In 1950, Tick ended up getting injured and ended up having to come into her ward, and she had to take care of him. And I said, oh, she gonna get you. She is gonna get you. So the two of them had started talking. She had to, warm up to him. They started talking, this, that, thing, and the other. And long story short, they really, all the American culture and the reading, she read the stories and all this stuff. So they ended up, he ended up falling for her. He ended up falling for her. She was carrying through with her plan, She had to do this. And she only had, I think there was two more. She needed two more men to complete her 100. And I think Tick was number 99. He might have been number 100. But anyway, she brought Tick back to the house. She was going to do him. She was going to kill him. because it was all part of her plan. But that's what she had actually figured out, that she actually had fallen for Tick as well. And they were getting ready to get down. They were getting ready to get down. And she ended up, and it was Tick, he got to telling her it was his first day. He was actually a virgin. She's like, oh, well, come on, I know how to do it. You know, I was like, oh, look. That told that story, too. Somebody that you thought she was so innocent and all this, because you would see her, even when she would do, like when we seen a couple men that came in and they kind of, she had this whole innocence factor to her, like it always felt as though she was being taken advantage of. But meanwhile, she a little whore. She's a little whore. She know everything about getting down and turning tricks, because that's basically what she was doing. And she just started like coming on, like with Tick, and he was like, wait a minute, hold on. And he told her, he's like, no, I know, I don't know really what I'm doing, this, that, and the other. So when they was getting ready to get into it and these tales was getting ready to come out, she was actually enjoying him. She kicked him out and made him run. He ended up running. And her mother came, and her mother and her got into it real, real bad. The mother was pissed. She was pissed. And she basically was telling her, you got to get this done. That man don't like you. You like him. He don't like you. And he definitely won't like you when he finds out about what you really are and this, that, thing, and the other. The mother beat her down. So they really got into this whole thing, okay? Next thing we end up seeing, Tick ends up making this whole little date night for her. And she hadn't been able to see movies or anything for like almost, it was a little over a year because, everything was going on with the war. So he had this whole little date set up for her, and had the little movie projector and all this stuff. Uncle George had sent her back. He told her all about Uncle George and all that. They had shared all these things. Well, baby, she went on to the barracks, and him and her ended up having sex. And she turned him on out, baby. Turned his ass loose. And she was able to control her tails and all that stuff. So all that had gone on. They had been messing around for a while and everything. And he ended up telling her that he was going to go, he was cleared to be able to go home. Told her he was cleared to be able to go home and all of this. And he told her to come on and go with her, And because he was saying he would stay. He would stay there for her. And she was like, you will do that for me? And he's like, yeah. He's like, she had made it decision like she was going to go with him or whatever. So listen, they get ready. They get in there. They get to getting down. And I think she got so caught up in what was going on that the damn tails came out, baby. And she connected him, and she had Tick's ass all strung up, honey. And she was about to jack him up. She couldn't control it. And she ended up, it was the first time that she didn't just see his past, but she actually saw Tick's future as well. She saw his future as well. And somewhere in that future, child, it was flashing real fast. She seen a baptism. She saw Letty. She saw some type of form of torture. And she seen Tick die. And she was just devastated. She let him loose. She kicked him off of her. And of course, he was like, what the fuck is going on? And she told him to run and don't go home. She told him, don't go home, don't go home, don't go home. And he ran out of there and left. Honey, the mother was furious. Furious, furious, furious. They end up having that thing again. She come in there. The mother now is consoling her some type of way. I said, well, what happened? Where'd you go from being furious to now flipping over to being okay? And her mother was consoling her. And then the last thing we see is the mother taking her up to the shaman. And the shaman's like, you came here asking, you didn't fulfill what you were supposed to fulfill. And you're coming here asking me things, and it doesn't make a difference. I was like, oh. And the shaman started doing some little ritual on her. She was like, you haven't become one with the darkness yet. So maybe there is some hope for you or whatever. I said, what the hell? And she told her, she said, but she said, you know, what is this whole thing about? Like, how could she see the future in that? And she's asking her, is Tick going to die? Is he going to die? And she told her, you will see countless deaths before you end your journey. You know, I said, oh. So that's kind of where that left off. And I was just like, where do we just go here? Where do we just go? I don't know why it is that the mother ended up all of a sudden becoming so soft on her. I don't know, maybe it was that broken heart, and maybe she could connect to the broken heart, because she was really bitter at the fact that she ain't had no man. So I don't know, maybe that was, she's able to connect with her, because the girl truly did love her mother, but her mother was on some bullshit. But I don't know, that was weird. And that's it. So that's the background story on Old Girl on the Phone. Again, a lot of questions, a lot of who knows. And it looks like going forward, like they're just going to jump into something else. But I don't know. We will see. We'll see. But I'd love to see what you all have to say down there in them comments. Because it was like really going like this. Her story could have been a story, you know, or a movie or whatever all by itself. So I don't know. I hope they don't just do like a broad jump right out of this into like the next thing and they don't touch on it, because there's so many questions that I have about this because it just ended abruptly. But anyway, I will catch y'all next week.